shouldn't be. The Albert one. Oh. I keep thinking it is, but I think it's just like, what's the word? Artifacted a bit, because I'm zoomed in. So, yeah, because if I try to focus it more, it just like blurs. So it might just be how life is now. Yeah, hopefully it's not too distracting. Mechalore, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Yeah, because if I zoom in anymore, it's, you see how it's just kind of fuzzy? Unfortunately, I think that's more of the, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out a good place for my camera. Right now it's up there, and it might be too far away, but if I bring it down here, then it's going to be right in front of my face, so I don't know. It's a fine balance. I gotta figure it out. Serenity, how are you? I haven't heard from you for a bit. You okay? How you doing? Where's my 10? Oh, there's my 10. Figured we'd go with some ambience today. It's got minimal music. Still there, but minimal. You guys want to give me the highlights of your day? Give me yours, because, I mean, I don't do much normally in a day other than work. So it's not like I even leave much room for bad things to even happen, let's say. I had actually a really good day. If I have to say, the only bad thing about my day was when I was at the gym, when I was running, my calf decided to just kind of kamikaze itself. So it felt like someone just ran up from behind me and slashed my leg. So right now that's in a bit of pain, but that's honestly the only bad thing that's happened to me today, so it's been a pretty good day. Board Game Commission ad and Patreon. Oh man. Oh, Serenity. Yeah, rest up. Rest your mind and your body. Let's see. Tad, what are you going to do for your Patreon? Is it for your webcomic? I'm excited for you to have a Patreon. I really like my Patreon. I honestly originally joined it to just have it as like a tip jar almost, which if anybody's on the fence about having one, just having it as like a place where people can just give you $1 a month, super helpful. Honestly, if you had like 100 people giving $1 a month, think about that. Like that's good money for just kind of passive income. And, you know, they're helping you eat every month, so that's really nice. But really, like, just having one, no matter what, if you're an online artist, really helps. So I highly suggest having one, but then taking it to the next level. If you're gonna do tiers, always make sure you're doing it, like, little at first and then eventually expand, because if you start with a lot and let's say that blows up, you're screwed. So it's better to start small and add ones as you feel comfortable instead of going backwards, because it's a lot harder to take away tiers just in case, you know, it's not working out or something. Oh yeah, that finally rolled out, I think, to the public. I don't like the main page because you have to scroll like halfway down to see how many patrons and how much they're making. I think that's a little weird. Like, the tiers honestly aren't the first thing I look at when I look at someone's Patreon. I don't know. Maybe it's different for, I don't know, people that don't have Patreons, what they look for. But I don't know. I guess I'm not the demographic. But either way, I'm sorry he is a little bit fuzzy. I could maybe sharpen it up through OBS. Hold on a sec. It might look bad, like bad sharpen, but we'll try it. See if it helps out a little. See, and now I've got a bunch of noise, but honestly, that might be better than nothing. Because, let's see. With sharpening, without sharpening. I'll leave it. It looks a little jank, but it looks less jank than before. After a while. Yeah, I mean, they changed stuff on our side too. Like, they totally revamped where you see all your patrons. And it is a little bit confusing, at least for us, because I had, you know, you have a system down and you're trying to find, you know, where things are. So, yeah, it's confusing. I think it might be better in the long run, but it's hard to see it right now. I don't know. At least they do that thing where if you get confused, you can switch it back to the old mode really quick. So that's nice. But, yeah. Then you find you're always just switching to the old mode, you never do the new one, then they roll it out for real, and then you're screwed. So I feel like every time they do that sort of thing, they don't exactly keep it or go back to it, the old one, even if they give you the option to look at the old one. So it's kind of funny. So from last week, I got all the bread stickers for my patrons done and printed and cut, so those are all ready. I can show those in a minute. But I also put up the reveal of next month's Guardian, so that's fun. Let's see, what else? Not much else. Getting closer to the first con of the season for us, or at least for me, which is C2E2. And then the week after C2E2, Gabe goes to Emerald City. Don't know why that's happening. Ugh. Sorry about that. Loud dogs. You might have to hold him for a bit till he settles. Oh, thank you, Serenity. This is a commission for someone. They wanted an owl bear. He is a scholar, and he also is a gatherer, so he collects berries. So, the dogs are really revved up. They've been sleeping all day, so they're really loud right now. Apologies. I'll try to mute it if they start barking at any point. Is anybody gonna do anything fun for the weekend or no? Just chill. Chilling is doing something, so don't think you're doing nothing. Sometimes you just need to chill. It depends, Alex. a lot of the time people will just be like, I just want something that looks kind of like what you've got here, and, just go and send it to me. And I'd say that's like 70% of the commissions I do. And all the Pet and Armors, I never have to send a sketch. And I highly attribute that to the fact that I have the Pet and Armor book on the table. So, like, if they're able to go through like a 60-some page book that's got, over 100 drawings in it of, these pet portraits, then they basically have a really good idea of what they're gonna get, so they trust me. Like, I'd say anybody that really wants to start doing commissions, having a body of work that somebody can kind of look through that's really consistent will really be a selling point for you that you don't even have to explain. If you can further gain their trust by explaining the process very confidently too, usually how you deliver, what you're going to be doing for them, your delivery has to be solid. Or else if you waver something, it's going to sound like maybe you're not so sure, or you're not used to doing this. For me, I almost talk too fast at this point when I'm explaining the whole process that I have to tell myself to slow down. So that's a good sign though, because that means I've done it a lot. I've, given my pitch a lot. They're, I guess, impressed by that. I don't know. Either way, the book, in coordination with like what I say, it helps a lot. Because if you've got somebody who's got like a sheet of paper on the table with written prices, and the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is have too many options. And this is something I actually learned with mobile games. People's brains shut off after too many options. Just think about if you're at Subway or something, or like a place where you have to choose to mix and match things. You kind of shut down if you're given too many options, right? Like, you either have too many columns to choose from, or a couple columns and too many options that way. There's a fine balance between having, certain variations and variations within those variations, options. I think that's why Etsy probably only lets you do 2. But once in a while, I will give a sketch. Usually the sketches, though, are for bigger projects. So I'm doing this one guy's Kickstarter deck. And for all of those, I'm definitely going to be giving him sketches of each one. So I'd say it's just kind of project dependent. If it's just a one-off drawing, I usually won't, unless it's really personal or they request it. But I do mention, like, I don't do many revisions, because there are some people that no matter how many times you show them something or how many revisions you do, it's never good enough for them. So you usually have to cap it, and that's when I do it for like bigger projects. Like I said, if it's just these sorts of things, no. I've gotten to the point where it's really nice where people trust me, and they're usually happy with whatever I do, which is a really weird feeling. But you do kind of get used to it, and you're like, all right, here's your thing. Awesome, blah, blah. If you want to scan, let me know. So every time I ship one out, I'm like, hey, I'll give you your tracking number when I've shipped it. I'll give you a scan if you request it. I even offer time lapses of pieces for an extra like $10 to $20 depending on what it is. Options are great, and it's also a good point to mention that depending on when you tell people certain things, that can make a difference too. So if you do end up having other options, you have to think in your head like they have to unlock them. So like if they just want something quick, something sketchy, then you don't tell them about the time-lapse options or anything like that. But if it's a gift and maybe it's like painted and all this other stuff and they want an experience more from it, that kind of tells you maybe they'd be interested in the time-lapse, and then let them know that. So there's a lot of cogs and gears that kind of unlock and all that. But, oh, Super Bowl party. Cute. Oh, Baskin Robbins, yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know what Baskin Robbins 31 flavors even are. I only see, 8 tubs of that stuff? Where are the 31? Where is that? I always get cookie dough and Oreo anyway. What does it matter? Or cookies and cream, which is technically Oreo a lot of the time. But either way. Yeah, so Alex, you kind of know how that works then with when I did yours. That's a lot of the time the way people do it. Hey, I want this. I'd love to have these involved with it. If you could, do these colors. Sometimes they don't even say colors and they just let me go. So that's great. That's kind of the way I prefer. But if they get very specific or they want, different iterations and stuff, I haven't had one of those for a really long time. Usually it's like super simple or super in depth. And the super in depth is like usually a bigger project. If I'm illustrating for a book for someone and it's multiple images and they give me a giant lump sum for that, then they've kind of earned the right to revise all these things, Oh, Alex, oh no. Oh, I don't like this song anymore. It must have changed. Oh, rain. Okay, if you hear rain, it's in the song. That's true, Serenity. It is something. You're right. Okay, let's keep going. Contact crisis. Let's go. No, it's not raining. It's in the song. I switched it to the song and then I said that, so you must have not been around for that. But yeah, it's in the song. I'm trying to play more stuff where the music isn't as demanding, I guess, of your attention. So it's easier to listen to for a while. So I've picked some stuff that's like ambient plus a little bit of music. So it sets a nice little mood, I think, and it's not as distracting. At least I'd like to think so. Oh, and also Gabe's Kickstarter, I think, has like, oh god, is it 7 days left? Something like that? He's almost to the next stretch goal, which means everybody above the $15 tier gets also a poker deck. Which is this? Actually, I haven't checked it all day. Maybe he reached it. Oh, so close. He's $50 away. Whew. Oh, Kickstarters. Yeah, this song, or at least this soundtrack, I'll say, says it's like a artist's attic during the rain. So I thought that was kind of cool. So there's like a fire going, there's some raindrops. Sounds like there's some things swinging on rope, which I dig that. We have a vaulted ceiling in our house right now where I would love to just hang random crap from the ceiling. I want to go like full cabin with it. I think that'd be dope. Because it's a small house. It's a very modest house, but I think it'd be cool to actually kind of outfit it to look a little bit more cabin-y. Or at least cottagey. Cottage core. So yeah, Serenity, you're not crazy. At least not with your hearing. I was gonna switch to Saturdays instead of Fridays. I'm always kind of feeling out what days feel better, and last Saturday was awesome. When I tried to make up for what I couldn't do on Friday, I did it on Saturday. That was a good stream. I really had a lot of fun on that. But part of what makes a stream good is when there's a lot of people. So, you know, it's fun then because everybody can kind of bounce things off each other and all that. So I'm wondering if more people would show up on a Saturday. Then again, some people are, I guess, busier on Saturday, so it's a really hard call most of the time. Oh wow, really? That's cute though, Serenity. I would think that'd be a very nice noise. Do they, like, let out a little coo when they breathe? I don't know why, but bird breathing seems like it'd be adorable. Really? This past Saturday, you mean, Tad? Or just Saturdays in general? So yeah, I don't know what it was, but last Saturday was great. That was really fun. I mean, you always try to have fun on your streams, but like when it just gels, it's pretty awesome. It's like a good party, you know? Good party, everybody has a good time, there's a good energy, good flow to things. When I used to go to parties, I remember what that was like. Oh, the past Saturday? Well, that's good then. I hope a lot of people got to have a lot of fun then. 'Cause yeah, it was a good day. Oh no! Oh, Serenity. I'd probably feel like I was going nuts then. If like you could hear breathing and you're like, what is that? Butters, do you want to get up? You gonna get up? Or are you happy? You gonna stay? Okay. What are parties, right? I don't know, man. Even if I get invited to parties now, I don't like parties. I don't want to be that workaholic guy, but it really feels like a waste of time to me, and I don't get much out of them. I usually assess afterwards. I'm like, was that worth the time that I was, there? Like, did I get as much fun out as the effort I put in? Or like, would I've been happier if I got that much more work done? And the answer is pretty much always, I wish I would have stayed home and worked. But that's just me. I know for a lot of people, parties are like the bee's knees because they've got, good friends and there's fun things to do and they don't have a million commissions like some people. So I could definitely see where it'd be fun. Honestly, I'd probably even have fun if I had more time. If I didn't have so many looming things, but looming things basically sap the fun out of anything. So my goal this year, or at least one of the main ones, was by the end of the year to have less looming, we'll say. And having only 2 conventions this year will probably do that, which I'm happy about. I only really applied for 2. Well, I applied for 3, but Gen Con this year was like ridiculous to get into. I know a lot of skilled people that did not get into Gen Con this year, which was very surprising. Tad, would you say that's the same story on your end? A lot of people you know not get into Gen Con? The judges must have been super harsh this year. Every year they change judges, so I'm assuming they got a few that were very particular, we'll say. Oh my god, 10 people is like... I had 10 people at my wedding, so like 10 people is way too many for even me. 2018 is still a decent time, though. Honestly, I think the last time I attended a party was when I lived with Tim. Because Tim had, like, massive parties. And I lived in the basement. How funny is that? So if I wanted to, like, recoil, I totally could. Yeah, Tad, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if you got people there and you're there anyway for, like, a work function and you're not too tired, yeah, it can be awesome. Definitely. Dragon Con is a good place for people to do that too, I feel. However, for me, I usually like to go straight back to the hotel room at Dragon Con because otherwise it is hell to get anywhere. You know that. You've been there. You know how it is. I remember when we were in one of the main 4 hotels, back when Gabe and I were doing cons together, it took us an hour waiting for our elevator to get back up to our room. Like, the whole lobby was just flooded with people trying to get back up to their rooms. It's crazy. Dragon Con is nuts. It's basically nerd Mardi Gras. So it's also known as like the best cosplay con you can possibly go to, and it lives up to that pretty hardcore. But yeah, there are 4 main hotels. There are other hotels too, but the 4 main ones are like the party hotels where all the lobbies are basically turned into parties and they all have a DJ. And before you go into the hotel, you need to show that you have a badge. And then you walk in and immediately it's like a club. It's crazy. And I remember one year we were on the 6th floor, and that was probably the closest to the floor we had been. And all night, basically, we could hear techno. It was crazy. It was when I started wearing earplugs too, so I was like, yay, I have earplugs, but it was nuts. Absolutely crazy. Last year, though, this past last year, I found the perfect hotel, which is super close to the con, but it's like no one really knows about it. So it's super quiet and not many people are there. It was awesome. Same, Tad. Yeah. Dragon Con is probably in my top 3. If I can get into Gen Con's number 1, but then Dragon Con, Emerald City, New York Comic Con. New York is great, but it is a pain. Massive pain. You gotta split your hotel room with people because otherwise, like, the whole time you're there, it's like $2,000 for a hotel room all weekend. So you gotta make sure you're making that back. So it can be a stressful convention for sure. And then you have to commute there and back to your hotel. That's money. Typically there aren't many in walking distance. But yeah, like, New York's good too. It's crazy. I could tell you stories about working there because, like, they have, I think it was 9 or 10 hour days. It was like an hour or 2 longer than regular conventions. Dragon Con's also weird because they go from Friday to Monday, and not the usual Thursday to Sunday for a 4-day con. So that was interesting to get used to over time. But yeah, Serenity, I could see that being hard. Like, European conventions are interesting to me just because they must be just absolutely crowded because you don't have many, so you don't get many chances to go. So when there is one, I would think like everybody goes to it. So it must be insanity. Hi, Zambies. How are you? But yeah, I love Emerald City too, just because the people that attend that one are very into original and indie content. Like, they want to support indie content as much as possible, and it's amazing. It's really great. Like, they're not just looking for, you know, certain fandoms or anything like that. They're there to see what's new and what could be on the horizon soon. And that I will forever be grateful for that con. I'm good. I'm having a good day. How's your Friday been? What do you guys think? You think I should switch to Saturday, or do you know you'd probably not be able to do Friday or Saturday as easily as you do this Friday? Because I'd hate to skip to Saturday and you guys aren't like available to, you know, come hang out. Because honestly, this is really the most socializing I usually get in a week. Hi, Kitch. How you doing? See, that's ridiculous, Serenity. You'd rather it be on a Saturday? Alright, that's good to know. I actually can do a poll. Hold on. They added a thing where I can do a poll. Alright, so it's going to give you like a minute to answer this, I think. So you got to kind of rapid fire it. So everybody pay attention. I'm about to put it in here. I'll give it 2 minutes. How about that? There you go. How has my week been? I tell you, it usually takes me up until Wednesday to figure out what day it is. Like, freelance life I've finally gotten into the swing of, but at the same time, I lose what day it is all the time. And I used to be super, super analytical and like, just a perfectionist in every way possible. I was kind of a dick to be around because I was way too high strung, which is funny because I didn't have as much going on as I have now, but I think with that, when I used to have my full-time job and that stress, it was more about people and dealing with certain people every day at my job that I hated. So I think my high-strungness and my, you know, anal mental attitude was probably due to that. But now it's like, we honestly got woken up today at probably 11:30 because the guy that came here to clean our ducts rang the bell. Otherwise, we probably would have slept till close to noon, but we usually don't. We usually get up at like 10, which I know is still late for a lot of people, but we usually stay up to like 2 or 3 a.m. Because it suits our creative mindset more, which a lot of people don't seem to understand. Like, his family will talk to them. They'll be like, oh my God, you guys are so lazy and blah, blah. It's like, no. It's like we have the third shift of a job or whenever, when it's like, you know, going early in the morning and stuff. We still put in the same amount of work and time and all that. It's just later in the day. Why does that make us lazy? Just because we wake up later? F that. Big whatever. Alright, so you guys said 3 people said Saturday. So, I guess we could entertain Saturday for a bit. I mean, I can always change it back. Not a biggie. Hi, Zonda. How you doing, Sarah? So I'm mainly doing this in grayscale for this guy, but I said that I would tint the blueberries and the blackberries for him because I don't know. I like to do sometimes a spot color. Make it a little bit monochromatic, not too much though. Gotten a lot better at figuring out how to manage my time in the past year when it comes to personal projects and things. I used to have to do this thing where I was in a mindset before I started a project, and I'd be really religious about that. Like, I would need to be in a certain mood to work on stuff. But I knew going into kind of this world, I'd have to be able to pop into that whenever I needed to. So I've been working on that, and now I can just pick up any project and be just in it. And I'm very proud of that. Like, that took me a while and a lot of diligence to be able to know how to do that. The only time I get really specific now about a mood I need to be in is if I'm gonna write. So I write best when I'm in total silence. If there's any sort of music or like TV or anything, I get mega distracted. And I get irritated then, and then I can't write. So even the softest music will just distract the crap out of me. I'm also one of those people that can't sleep with music. I usually need total silence. So, but what happens is that when I'm writing, it's like a movie playing out in my head. So I'm just basically like a stenographer. And I'm just like typing out what I'm seeing in my head. So I usually close my eyes and I think about where we are. I don't exactly like see it, like a lot of people see the scene, but it's almost like grayscale, super not contrasted. Like it's really flat. And then I can kind of imagine things, sort of. It's still super fuzzy and blurry. And I've worked at kind of trying to imagine things over time, but I can never fully do it. But I can at least see it as if it was like a 1920s blurry movie. And then I just kind of take down the whole thing as I see it happen. And honestly, if I was playing music or anything, it would honestly just deter me from whatever I was doing. It would be too distracting. So I just kind of let it do what it's gonna do. Yeah, right, Alex? I think there's something to that. I think that way, like, it's like we're already watching a show or something in here. Because it's like having 2 TVs on at once. You can't really do it. You know? That's how it feels for me anyway. Like, I've got my mind TV going, and then something else is, I'm like, shh. No. I gotta turn it off. Oh, the polls don't pop up on mobile? Okay, so Kitchen, you were against Saturdays. I remember that. Right, Sarah? Oh man, I'm glad you're with me. Because and it sucks because I had to go through this period of breaking myself of, what would you call it? Just expectations of society, where I started living a counterculture life, I was calling it, because at the time I was living in an art house with like 7 other artists, and we would stay up late and get up late, and it's pretty cool, but we were living like super counterculture where, you know, it wasn't the norm. And I had for my entire life been getting up at like 5 a.m. and going to bed at like 9 or 10 p.m. forever. And what sucked is I could always tell that my creative mind would switch on at like 7 or 8 p.m. And I was like, damn it, I can only use this for like 2 hours. So deep down I knew that there was more that was there that I had to dig out, but I never got the chance to. Because when you have, the 9 to 5 thing and you're getting up at 5 a.m., it's like I couldn't ever deter from that, because like on Saturday I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna wake up late and I'm gonna go to bed late. You get one night of that. Or like Friday night, you're dead tired from waking up at 5 a.m., so it's not like you can stay up till 1, so that was a bust. So I never got to fully indulge it, unless I think there was 1 week I took a full week off once I started hating my job and I got really greedy. I took a whole week off and I dove into this, and I figured out that is when I'm most creative, is like 7 p.m. on, and it was awesome. And I was like, I have to work towards being freelance now. Honestly, that was probably one of the major red flags where I was like, I'm not meant for a 9 to 5. Plus, office life was just killing me anyway, and I hated politics in the office because, especially being in the game industry, it was daily where I was being second-guessed for everything I was claiming. It's like, I know more about UX and UI than any of you people do at my job. And I was like, we're so mad, frustrated. So it didn't work out. Now I'm happy. But yeah, it was stupid. I shouldn't have had to deal with that on top of regular workloads. See, I could get inspired by something that I see or hear, but then once I actually sit down to cement it, I feel like I can't have anything inspiring that. It's like I get inspired and then I have to cut off, shut the door, and go reflect what I just heard. Or something like that. You try to capture it. I have playlists for a lot of my stories, but those are meant for like when I'm actually drawing it or anything except writing it. Like writing, I have to have quiet. I don't know why. And I feel you, Serenity. We're kind of like that too. I had to stop though. There was a time when Gabe and I were going to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m. and we were waking up at 12 or 1, and it was bad. I could tell my circadian rhythm was just off because I would feel like crap the rest of the day. So there's like this window I have to be in. Because anytime after 3, my stomach starts to hurt and really weird physical things, and I couldn't do it past that. But Serenity, I know you have a night job, so thank you, Zambies. You too. Like, have a good rest of your weekend. Unless you stream. If you're streaming now, have a good stream. But, God, I did that to a guy, not today, but I think yesterday, where he was like, have a great workout. I come into the gym and have a great workout. And I'm like, you too. And it was so cringy. It's like when you get talked to by the waitress. Enjoy your meal. You too. Damn it. I am totally that guy. Right? Oh my God, Sarah, I know exactly what you're feeling. It took me 3 years to get out of that. 3 years. It was so bad for me. I bet you'll be able to get into it better than I did, but oh my God. That was the worst curve I've ever had to adjust to. And I used to be, like I said, so anal about schedules and like routine. I tell you what though, there is something I do feel a bit guilty about with other people that freelance. They either get up and they get dressed and they go somewhere, they go to a coffee shop, or at least they make themselves up even just to sit at home. I will not do that. Gabe doesn't do that either. We don't do anything like that because it's like, I feel like if I've got a pair of pants that's really nice, it's a good pair of pants, I'm not going to wear that around at home where it's just me seeing it. I don't care. I'm going to be comfy, and if nobody sees me, I'm going to look like crap because that's how I'm comfortable, right? I don't see that as like sad or anything, but a lot of people are like, oh, I need to get in the mindset and I need to get dressed. I'm like, that's cool, but I'm not going to waste, the durability of my best pair of pants on myself, or something like that. I don't know. Oh, Zambies, we'll have a good stream then. Thanks for coming to mine for a bit. If you're still streaming when I'm done, I'll raid you. If I can remember, I always forget to raid. I'm gonna try though. Serenity, you shouldn't have to. If that's when you work best, be unapologetic about it, you know? Yes! Yes! Sarah, yes! That's what I'm talking about. And I have friends that still get up at like 6 or 7 a.m. They get dressed, put on makeup, and just work at their computer all day. I'm like, no! No! Even if I went to like the coffee shop for an hour or something, I'm sorry, I'm not getting dressed up for nobody unless it's an occasion, you know? Like, this is the most makeup I put on in a month is during Twitch. It's like, I won't, No way, man. And don't worry, I make sure Gabe doesn't mind. Because, I mean, I'm like, do you care that I don't really wear makeup often? He's like, no. It seems like a waste. And I was like, yeah, you get it. So, and I mean, if you wear cute PJs, that's kind of, you know, it's not like you're not dressing up. You still look cute. Yeah. Yes. Let us all be goblins. Hermit folk. The 30s have taught me just to be unapologetic for who you are, because why would you be anything else? Really? Like, don't waste your time. You're 30 now, if you're me, and it's like, I'm 34 technically, but it's like, don't waste any time trying to impress anyone. Don't waste money on things that you're not gonna be, or are. You're not are, you know? I don't know. Like, I still have trouble kind of getting rid of my old clothes I used to wear for my old job, because I'm like, well, maybe I'll need them at some point. But I really probably have to have a serious talk with myself that's like, well, if I do get a new job, I'll probably need new clothes anyway, because, you know, my body has changed and all that. Whether or not you get thinner or thicker, your body still changes over years, and so do those clothes. You know, old clothes never fit the same. So, I don't know. I should really just go through that crap. I don't like this song. It's kind of bleh. Forest Day. Oh yeah, Sarah. If you don't even have a significant other around to, like, you know, keep up appearances, it's just your cat, hell yeah. Man, I'm all about that. I got Butters on my lap right now. She doesn't care how I look. But she is warm. Honey, do you need to get down? Are you too warm? Here, get up for a minute. You need to cool off. Here. Oh, yeah. This dog is a cat, I swear to God. You alright? You too warm? Oh, you floof. See, you're hyperventilating here. She gets too warm and she doesn't even know how to kind of pull herself out of it. Ah, there you go. There you go. I guess Twitch at least keeps me kind of in the loop of talking to people kind of rapid fire, so that when I get to a convention it's not as painful, I guess. Because going from this lifestyle to going to a convention and having to be like, oh, salesperson, that is something else, let me tell you. It is so crazy. Like, go from here to seeing, you know, like 100,000 people. No big deal. I mean, and it's not anymore. It's weird because it's like, it is just a mindset. You just have to kind of psych yourself up for it. But by the end of that weekend, I am usually fried. And the 4-day conventions are really tough, man. Like, holy crap. It sucks because by Saturday, I'm usually winding down, but it's like, if it's Dragon Con, and I've been kind of trained to have Saturday be the wind down day, and Sundays are usually easy, not at Dragon Con, because Saturday and Sunday can both be crazy, and then Monday's the slower day. Monday is nice, though, there, because a lot of people leave, like a lot of other artists leave on Sunday, so Monday, everybody kind of is left with whoever's still there, and I'm always usually still there, so you'll have empty tables sometimes around you, and you'll be one of the only people, and it's like, oh, hey, let's talk to this person. So that's always been cool, but I think that's usually because those people that left had other jobs, and like going to conventions is probably their side hustle. But it is funny now being like an independent artist. You have to do a little bit of everything. You have to do some commissions, you have to do some freelance, you have to do conventions to an extent, or art fairs or something. You know, to be able to keep enough income coming through, you have to do everything. And even online, you have to be your own, social media person, your own marketing, all that stuff. Anytime somebody asks me how it is to be kind of an independent artist nowadays, it's like, if you're planning on doing this, you have to be 100% serious about, like, working. You have to want to work, or else it's just not going to happen. You gotta build that fan base and everything, and that takes a lot of commitment. It's really hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is really hard. And another hard thing is just dealing with the fact you might be mediocre, too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine to be mediocre. I mean, I had to come to terms with it, too. It's one of those things where you're not settling, but you have to realize, you may not be able to reach too high. Or, you can shoot for it, and you always should, but you have to be okay with just being mediocre too. Like, there's no shame in that. I feel like, especially in America, and my age group even more specifically, we've been raised to think we're special and we can be the best of the best of the best. And I don't think that's true. And I also think that too many people think that if they don't make it to be something phenomenal, that they're a waste or something, or that their life was wasted. It's like, no, you have to be okay with whatever kind of happens. If you make sacrifices and choices along the way, and if you're not willing to give up, say, family time to go do work stuff, that's a choice you made. You should be happy about that, Yeah, so Sarah, if you can get into, especially if you got fantasy art, Tad's right, Dragon Con's good. I'd say to get in the artist alley and not the art show. Like I said, it depends on what your art is. If you are a little bit more high art and old school traditional mediums, then yeah, the art show can be good. But if you want traffic and you're more of a commercial kind of pop artist, like me and Gabe, actually, you know what? I'll break it down to this. If you don't mind spending over 10 hours on a piece, you're in the art show. If you don't want to waste 10 hours on a piece and you have too many ideas going at the same time and you just want to pump stuff out, artist alley. Just because I don't feel like you can make as much in the art show, unless your paintings are like over $1,000 each, that sort of thing. So I'd say if you're kind of more kitschy, kind of like me and Gabe, go artist alley. Lots more traffic. Really, really good. If I was being transparent, I usually make about $6,000 to $8,000 at that show, and which always makes it worth it. Gen Con, if you can get into it, phenomenal show. I broke my record. Went into double digits there, so I always try to get into Gen Con. But since the judges change every year, it can be a little bit difficult. Try for New York Comic Con if you can. Honestly, that's a great show. It is tough to get into, but if you're gonna go to any comic show, keep in mind that you should have some comic background of some kind to get in front of other people. So if you can even do flats for a comic that's kind of big or has a publisher behind it, any comic credits you can get that you can put into a Comic-Con application is going to put you ahead of any illustrator that doesn't have them. And that's like Comic-Con type stuff. Our friends that are illustrators that have no comic credentials, they've asked me, how do you get in, but I don't? And I'm like, I've done flats for Gabe. I'm a color assist on published comics. So I put that in. That's obviously going to shoot you, higher in getting a chance than other people that don't have comic credits at a comic show, right? So, Sarah, if you ever want to do, flats or something mediocre even for a comic just so you can get credits, hit up Gabe. Maybe he knows some people, that sort of thing. But honestly, I did flats like 4 years ago, and it still helps me. So, and yeah, the art show is judged. That's true, Tad. More merch. Yeah, make sure the merch suits what you sell, though. Don't just go kitschy and get keychains and all that kind of stuff. Think about what you want your stuff to look like and see what merch suits you. We have a friend that just plasters his stuff on everything, and it looks like he's working at an airport kiosk. It's too kitschy, where it's more merch and less art. Make sure the merch complements your art. Art first, that sort of thing. Indie comics too. Yeah, Tad. If you have a webcomic, especially C2E2, they have and Emerald. I think any Reed Pop show has there's a checkbox that says, do you have a webcomic? And then you put in what your webcomic is, and they go and they check your following. And if you have a good enough following, they'll be like, oh yeah, they'll bring people here. So yeah, anything, any comic, anything will help you. Published books, not as much, but like regular books, but if they're comic stuff, yeah. Dude, if you can 3K local shows, hell yeah. Oh my god, Butters, you need to get down, you're too warm. You're overheating, honey. Yeah, go get some water or something. Or at least cool down. You can come back up when you've cooled down. Where are you going? Butters. Alright, if you get it up on a website, if you start putting them up anytime soon, just slap that in the application, the URL. That'll help. I mean, I've gotten into NYCC with minimal comic credit. There's this thing too that cons do some years where it's they just want new blood. So they'll let people in that they haven't really seen before and such, even if, you do or don't have comic credit. The bottom line is just apply everywhere that you want to, because, there's no penalty for doing that, and see where you get into, and then plan, what am I going to do? I'd say just apply everywhere. There's no reason not to. The only one that sucks, though, is Gen Con, because they charge you $25. So if you want to, Sarah, even if you don't, your style really can hold its own. If you've just got some prints, and let's say if you've got a zine, maybe that's a 6-page preview of what your comic's gonna be, so you can start amping up hype. You don't need much of anything to start a table. I mean, really, sometimes that's even better, because, every table is chock full of stuff. So if it's your first time or one of your first times and you've just got a couple things, sometimes that's a breath of fresh air. You know, you get up to a table, it's like, oh, okay, just prints and this and that. Oh, that's nice. You know? And people can, it's that whole thing I was talking about earlier, where if you're given too many options, people shut down. You know, they're like, I don't even know where to look. I don't know what's going on. I'm out of here. Like, they get overwhelmed, you know? So, like, my table's a bit jacked at the moment, and I really should pull some stuff back or at least organize it better. But as long as your table's organized into chunks and it's not overwhelming, I think you'll be okay. You want to have some visual flow to it. So it's like, for mine, it's usually like prints, originals, stickers at the moment, and books, and then the commissions. So it's a U shape for me, right? And then it's pretty easy to, you know, and you want your main draw, like you want one main focal point to your booth, something that will totally draw people's eyes, usually something big and kind of commanding that really represents you, or like a really cool product, something that just is eye-catching, and put that on the side that a lot of people are going to be passing, which sometimes can be really hard to figure out because you don't know if the flow is from a certain way. So if you can ask somebody who's been there before, like, which way are the people usually walking, that helps. So being on a corner is really helpful too. That's a good one. Oh yeah, I remember that was harsh, Serenity. Well, if she's not splitting, she should do better. Also, splitting tables can really hurt you. It's almost better to pay the full price for the entire table and have that bigger presence, because a lot of the time if you're splitting with somebody, it's going to hurt you. You're going to have less room for merch. You're going to have that much less time to make an impression on someone. It's like a 3-foot, you know, if you're half a table, 3 to 4 feet. That's not much. So I would say, if, you know, you're going to do this, do it hard, spend the extra money, get the full table, and have that impactful full presence. Because otherwise, especially if you're tabled up with somebody who has a similar style to yours, they don't even know what's your art, you know? Yeah, you're welcome, Sarah. I've seen your setup. I love it. It's phenomenal. Like, you've got a really good presence. And it is really cool. I love it when artists have their table catered to them, because it's their world. You know, you get to step into their world. I know I probably screamed that a little bit too much at mine, but like, I know this one artist that her stuff is just like tan and black, and she's got this kind of pirate skull thing going on, and it's her whole table. It's memorable, it's impactful, it's just good. You know, you style yourself as a character that people can remember. It's that much easier to make an impression. So if you can do that, use a color people aren't using. However, a little bit of caution. Gabe actually ended up redoing his table setup, I think, 2 years ago, because our friend Key actually brought up a really good point that Gabe's table colors were actually hurting his work. So all the prints he had and everything weren't exactly poppy colors, and his table was like too bright of pink and teal, and those were his colors at the time, like his brand colors. But as tablecloths and backdrops, it just hurt how his work looked. It really just made it look really washed out and kind of drab. So you really want to make sure that whatever your surrounding elements to your work is, they're actually complementing it or helping it speak loudly and not actually hurting it. So since then, he's gone with like an accent color in black. Black is always just kind of a safe bet, you know. But if we were talking about if somebody just had like a hot pink table, everything, and maybe they just did black and white, like art, and the rest of their table is like just a color, it'd be crazy. Like, that would stick out so crazy at a place. Because the typical setup, if you see any con, is just table, banner, or table and wire stands. Don't do the wire stands. Don't do it. It's a trap. It takes up too much of your table for least amount of space. Honestly, pulling your stuff back to be behind your table and having all the flat elements on your table is a better bet. So honestly, how I have it, not to be like, but it makes it so your prints go up. You know, they're not too far back where they're behind you, but they're up against the table. And then your flat elements are on the table. I think I remember you sending me pictures of that, Serenity. I think I do remember that. That's no good. Ugh. Because I remember being stressed out for this girl. When you had told me about her setup, I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, Sarah, if you have ever had any questions, Gabe and I are here for you. And you know us, we've been doing this for a long time. Gabe's been doing it for like 20 years. I shit you not, 20 years. So there was a time when conventions weren't even letting in regular folks. They were just a place for people to come meet, you know, comic artists and writers and things. Like, you had to be an actual comic professional to get into these things. And, of course, there's no fan art back then. Like, since it was just actual, you know, industry professionals, that didn't exist. So, what a time that must have been. But since they started letting normies in now, like us, it's strayed pretty far from that original idea that they were shooting for. So, I always find that really interesting. But yeah, Gabe was there when it kind of began. And he has ties to people that have been there even longer than him. I'm really curious what cons will be like in the next 10 years. Like, where are they gonna put their foot down at all? Is copyright going to change because of cons? Like, what's gonna happen? Super curious. Butters. Butters. Hold on a second, I gotta make sure I know where she is. Okay. I had to yell. Sorry, I didn't want to yell with the mic on. Huh? I think she does. I think you're right. Why am I using this like this? I have holders. What are you doing, Gabe? You just playing a game?
Yeah.
Did you get up to the 2500 yet?
No, I don't know.
No. Kitchen says, hi, Gabe.
Hello.
Do it, Tad. I'm proud of you. Take those breaks. You need to take breaks. Right to him. I'm with you, boo. I'm with you. Godspeed, man. You're welcome, Sarah. You know we're here for it. Whatever you need. Hi, Bruni. How you doing, honey? You look so silly without your collar. Yeah. That's a good move. Good move. Oh, I'm off screen again. I read another article yesterday about the state of Twitch, and it's not looking good. Apparently a lot more people that aren't as popular are also leaving now. So it does, like, I do feel it. I feel like Twitch is kind of losing its glory. Mainly because of those, you know, the controversial crap that's been going on and all the big streamers leaving. But I don't know. No, I won't be, but Gabe will be. So usually if I'm not at a con, Gabe will be there. If it's one of the ones we normally do. Because he needed to go there this year because he knows a lot of people there and he needs to kind of touch base with the business people that are there. Because Oni's there and he's worked for Oni in the past on a few books. So he needs to go for business reasons, so I kind of take a back seat in that case. We both got in, but then we decided that, you know, well, I went last year, you go this year. And then not only that, but I got into C2E2, so that's the week before. So I haven't done C2E2 in probably at least 2 years. So now we live here, so it's easier for me to do that. So I'm going to be doing C2E2. He'll be doing Emerald. It might be Serenity. I know that Mixer is still buying out streamers, so there's a thing that's happening right now, though, where, yeah, the little streamers are going just because they feel this too. Like the platform kind of losing its mains, so they're leaving. But there's also this thing where the middle streamers that are kind of popular but not crazy popular, they're getting poached. But the controversy right now is that they're getting poached for not enough. So the example they used was that this company would go to a middle popular streamer and they'd be like, oh hey, we'll give you, $10,000 to come over to our platform. And of course the streamer's like, oh my god, yeah, I'll do that. But what they don't know is that the platform is pocketing 90,000. So they could have had a hell of a lot more, but apparently the platform is pocketing a lot more than they should be. So right now that's the controversy, because the littler streamers, they don't know, they don't know they could be getting more, all that sort of thing. And it's always the game streamers too. This will not happen to creative streamers. At least not unless there's a creative streamer that kind of breaches into gaming too. Because we're just not seen as equally lucrative as the game streamers. So who knows, maybe all the game streamers will leave and we'll be left on Twitch, and then Twitch becomes a creative platform. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I'm on pup duty. But the week before, he'll have been on pup duty, so it's fair. And honestly, we're pretty hyped about this year just because, you know, we're both taking cons slower this year and not as heavily, so we can actually make more stuff. And I am crazy excited about that. I've already started putting together. I penciled out 26 pages of comic in 2015, and I haven't gotten a chance to even start inking it. So last night I scanned all the pages in, and I'm gonna start inking them soon. And then I'm just gonna put that one out. It doesn't fit my brand at all because it's an older story, but I'm fine with that. I don't care about that. It's a really cute story though. Like, and it probably won't fit my palette either now that I think about it, but that's okay. The fact that it's a sweet story, I think, will lend itself kind of to my stuff, but either way, even if it's off-brand, I don't want that to affect what I make. So I'll have that. I really want to do my book of books this year, finally. I think that would be good. It is really easy to make books if you've got time to put them together. That's the other thing. Bruni, no. Hold on. I need to get Gabe. Bruni's being difficult again. She's a crybaby. She's a whiny crybaby, this one. So I've started splitting my day up into having some time at the end, and the time at the end I put towards kind of like rudimentary tasks that I do for my personal stuff. So that's why I'll just start inking this comic like an hour or two before going to sleep, and I'll do that a little bit every night, and then, you know, by the time a couple months have passed, I'll probably have it all inked, and then the rest of it should go pretty fast. Inking can kind of take a little while, but yeah, and so just kind of breaking down your workload into that sort of thing, even if you aren't freelance, is kind of important. Because, you know, don't underestimate a couple minutes a day. I think that's another thing I've learned, is like 20 minutes is a lot of time. You can do a lot in 20 minutes. And, you know, since I've learned that, I've been like, well, I'm going to use every minute of every day that I can. And I've been getting a lot more done recently due to that realization. I'm pretty proud of that, honestly. Because for a while I was really worried. I was like, I have no time at all. But it was that I wasn't put together enough to realize how much time I actually had if I took all the 20 minutes that were kind of interspersed throughout the day. That sort of thing. Thank you, Alex. I'd like to think that I still have the ethic and discipline that I used to have, but now it's just reformulated, because I couldn't do things the same now that I used to be doing them. So, and like I said, that was a harsh reality, because I thought I'd be able to. So much changed when I went freelance that I didn't understand. And I had no friends that, at the time, I didn't know anyone who did what I ended up doing. So I couldn't even get any advice, nothing. I was seriously kind of dead in the water for a bit. So I had to figure out how I worked best when I had never even gotten a chance to see when I work best or anything like that. So it was a very long learning curve, but a necessary one. It was painful, but it was growing pains that were necessary. to get what I wanted to. So I'm hoping this year I can start getting my stories out. Because, like, there's one I've got fully thumbnailed, and now I just have to draw it. There's another one I was just telling you about. That one, it's harder to explain, but oh, there, I put it away. Some of you actually remember me probably working on it during the stream. I was doing inking for my, and like I said, it's really off-brand, but it's where two test tube creatures, I guess they're just creatures, I don't know what they are, they fall in love through being in test tubes. So anyway, it's done, it just needs to be inked and colored. But I don't know, I thought it was cute. It was, if anybody knows Jonathan Colton, it was inspired by a song he did way back when I was a fan. True, Twitch is better than Picardo. Picardo is still a bit too porny for those that aren't porn. Which is really weird. You'd think there would be like an art-specific streaming platform, especially nowadays, when there's so many artists that are actually like, art has turned into the new being a rock star. Gabe and I talk about this kind of often between the two of us. It's like, instead of somebody being like, I'm gonna be in a band, now it's like, you know, I'm gonna write a graphic novel, or I'm gonna be a concept artist for games. And like, that's what you hear now, instead of I'm gonna be in a band. It's really funny. But it's also very dangerous, too, because a lot of the people I even went to college with thought they were going to end up working for Disney or Blizzard. And I'm like, bros, you don't even do your homework. You don't even do art outside of school. What are you doing here? You know? Like, people that didn't even draw were going to an art school. I'm like, what are you doing here? It's very strange. So, you know, that's part of the other thing where I really feel like Disney fucked up a lot of the people I know. Because they really thought they were special, or to do, like, you know, the best of the things, and they were going to be the guy and all these things. It's like, you gotta work for it. It's not just gonna fall into your lap, man. You gotta work for shit. And lo and behold, a lot of the people I went to college with who have animation degrees somehow, who didn't even draw, they're not working in the industry whatsoever. They're still, like, one girl I know ended up being a baker. A bunch of people I know work at Trader Joe's. It's like, you have animation degrees, but it's like they never got the confidence, I guess, to actually apply for any of the jobs, and they never draw. So, oh, 2 people I know are Uber drivers. That was weird when I found that out. I was like, both of them? Uber? Really? Alright. Yeah, right? I think it happened everywhere, and especially to art institutes. Gabe and I come from art institutes. Not good art schools. I was pissed when I found out that one of my teachers was a recent grad. He graduated and then right away was hired. I want teachers that have been in the industry. I'm sorry, I don't want to be taught by another student. And he wasn't even that good. Man, messed me up. I was so mad. At least a lot of my other teachers were cool. And they did have experience in the industry. I was very thankful, at least for those, but the upper management of the school sucked. Like, you guys know, you've heard about it. Everything you've heard is true. Art institutes. I went to the Art Institute in Minneapolis because I was from Minnesota. So, but like I said, a lot of the teachers are good. It's just, the school itself was bad. They didn't know what they were doing. And Gabe went to the Art Institute, Chicago? Schaumburg? Something in there. And yeah, same thing. All the art institutes were not good. It just comes down to every time somebody asks me, do you believe in art college? I'm like, it depends on the person you are. It depends on if you need people to kind of be around you, to learn with you, if you are driven or not. If you're driven on your own and you have ideas and you've already been creating your own stuff and doing your own thing and kind of self-teaching yourself, you don't need college. You really don't. Like, there are some people that, and you guys know the types I'm talking about, they do their own thing regardless, and they get hired on to stuff just because they're that driven or they're that good, and they never need to do these things. And then other people, they need some help. But then there are other people that I feel they were just dreaming, and they should have been more honest with themselves and what their abilities are. And there are a lot of people, and like I said, I keep saying it's blamed on Disney, but Disney really kind of embodied the whole, I can do anything, and you can, but you gotta work for it. But it seemed like it fell into people's laps, and I think a lot of the people I knew weren't working to get there, or they thought they didn't have to. So I feel like that mentality really just destroyed a whole generation. Yeah, because, let's be honest, a lot of the people even you went to high school with, are there a few passionate people you can think of that went on and did their own thing and did it so well that they're doing it professionally now? Because I know one guy that works for Disney now because he always animated. He was always making his own animations. Like, that's his passion. That's what he does. That's what he's good at. That's what he ended up doing, I think a lot of people don't necessarily have the passion for it, but they want it. And that's just kind of a recipe for disaster because they're not willing to work for it, But I guess they kind of don't want to have that inner dialogue with themselves. Like, what do I want to do? What am I capable of doing? How much work do I want to put into this? How much do I want to sacrifice? Because a lot of things require lots of sacrifice. And honestly, I'll admit that if I didn't have Gabe and the dogs, I'd probably be twice as far as I am now. But because I had a bad childhood and a bad home life, I kind of crave that sort of family thing that I've never had. And so for me, that's a pretty equal trade-off that, yeah, I could be further, but I'm really happy with how things are. And that's a trade-off. And you have to have that talk with yourself, like, what am I willing to do? And as long as you can do that honestly and not lie to yourself, I think you're in a good position, but it is really hard. It's a hard talk. And it's easier, I think, for a lot of people not to have that talk. They'd rather just kind of keep drifting how they are. Because, a lot of it might be admitting that where you went was not the right path. I'm thinking of a couple people I went to school with. They went there and it's like, whatever. You can't really get much out of that now. But, like, for me, I gotta admit, when I switched from my career to doing this, I was sour. Because since I was 13, I wanted to work on games. Right? And I was studying all through high school for it. I was doing Flash animations. I was doing animation wherever I could, stealing programs, that sort of thing. I was very tech savvy. I still kind of am. And then I went to college for animation because I wanted to end up doing cinematics for games. And then, I got into games, and really what ruined it for me in games was the people. It sucked where I got to my dream job, and there was one game I got to make where it was I was very lucky to actually work on a game that was basically fully me for the most part, and I got to do animation for it. I got to do everything I wanted to do, right, basically. But what ended up ruining it and just pushing me out of that industry altogether for the most part, except for some freelance jobs, was the people. And it sucks that you could get that job, but then it's someone else who ruins it for you, or some other group of people, or what have you. It sucks, but at the same time, I knew deep down that's not really what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to make stories, and I've been making stories since I was little. They just took the form of animations, and then I liked games at the time, which, I'll be completely honest, I don't even really like games anymore. I used to be so into games. I used to compete with my guy friends for gamer score, and we'd be playing tons and tons of games. I had like 30,000 gamer score on Xbox when it was a thing. Like, we were serious. And I've been into Japanese games and all this stuff. I modded all my systems. Like, it was crazy. I was heavy into it. Now I couldn't care less. Like, all I want to do is write my stuff, and do my things. So, I mean, your priorities are going to change over time, too. So let's say you even got your dream job. Like, there might be a time you don't want it anymore. And that's okay. You're going to change who you are throughout time many times over. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to embrace the change and be honest about it. Like, do I like that thing anymore? No. Oh. Okay. And then just, I feel like people just don't want to have these hard conversations with themselves. And I get that a lot of the time it might involve other people. Like, maybe you've got a family and you've got kids and all that stuff. And that's complicated. But it's one of those things, like, would you rather keep living like that or live the way you want to and need to and kind of figure out a way to do that? And I think the more healthy option is to figure out how you can, make that happen. Because you're not going to be the best version of yourself if you're living a lie. Yeah, Kitchen, you definitely do need to dig the good stuff out. Or in some cases, in mine, God, if I had to say the percentage I took away from art school, if I take into account all the classes, the best one I probably still reference even today was my storyboarding class. That was really great. There were a lot of great exercises in there and a lot of good books. So I would say maybe 25% of my art schooling I was able to carry with me. And that's including some of the programs too. Not Maya, that's for sure. Ugh. But yeah, it's art school's so weird. I don't know how it is now, but when I was going, it was kind of a mess. And I would think it depends on the school you go to. Like, I've heard that, like, the big school for us that was, like, the good school in Minnesota was MCAD, which I'm guessing is similar to SCAD. I think that one's in Georgia, if I remember right. But it's, like, one of those higher art, good illustration type colleges. And I remember, I probably could have gotten into, but I remember when I was scoping out colleges, that one needed a portfolio submitted, and it was like $100,000 for that school. And I remember Art Institute was like $64K. And I was like, I don't know anything about money. $100K is a scary number. And I could probably learn a lot on my own anyway. Which, props to me for that, but at the same time, I probably really didn't need any of that school anyway. But MCAD probably could have helped, but at the same time now, knowing what I know now, I got what I could out of an art school. If I want to learn something, I go and learn it. I'm probably one of those self-driven ones that I don't need, to be told by somebody how something works. I learn best on my own. which I think being an only child really pushed me to do that. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah. What's ACAD? What's the A stand for? How do you feel about going to one of those College of Art and Designs, I guess? Because, yeah, Minneapolis College of Art and Design. I think SCAD isn't it Savannah College of Art and Design? The video of this doesn't look as good as the original, but c'est la vie. There you go, Serenity. You're in my boat again. We're in the same boat. A lot of the time. Oh, Alberta. That's right. Canada. Was it good, would you say? Would you say your schooling was good? And dropped out. Oh no. Did you drop out because you wanted to, or had to, or was it not doing it for you? God, if I was smarter, I should have probably dropped out too. But I was not smart, and I was very stubborn. And I felt like if I started something, I should finish it. Where, spoiler though, in some insider knowledge, I actually got extremely lucky, and this is gonna sound weird, but so when I got divorced, it was for a really weird, obscure reason, and I'm sure it wasn't even the right reason, which is really strange. But my ex-husband at the time was still on decent terms. There's nothing bad or anything like that, but because of that divorce, he was like, well, I'll keep the house and I'll pay for your student loans. I was like, cool, I'm for that. So I consider that a blessing in disguise, especially now because I'm happier overall than I think I would have been with him at this point in time, because I probably still would have been at that job. But anyway, and he was kind of... But in the end, I got very lucky, I think. Oh, Alex, I haven't even heard that. Is that good? Yeah, I hear that. Like halfway through my schooling, my mom died. And it was really weird. So, like, I did a 4-year college in 3, which means, like, you go all year round, right? So maybe you only get, like a week or 2 break somewhere in there. You don't get, like, a whole summer off or anything. So I had done my first year and then my second year. And during my second year, she had died. And then I did my 3rd year. But in the second year, I went into class the day after she died, and people were looking at me like, didn't your mom die? Why are you here? And it's like, my logic, since I'm a very logical person, I was like, am I supposed to be at home just crying? Or should I be somewhere trying to distract myself in a productive way? It seemed obvious to me. So, oh, DeKalb. DeKalb? Is it DeKalb or DeKalb? I never knew. Oh, sorry about your dad, Kitch. That had to be hard. So yeah, I guess we're on the same page with that, huh? Art-related schools, you can be jealous of that, Serenity, but at the same time, it's really hard to tell which schools are good, if any schools are good, because there are so many, Saturation isn't always the best thing, I feel. I don't even know if I've been to DeKalb. I still barely know where I am here half the time. Chancho, there's no one here. Hey, come here, Chancho. Chancho. Stop looking outside, you're working yourself up. Were they two different schools, Alex? The design and that, you say it like there's two different schools. Are they the same school with different courses? Or I'm kind of confused. Okay, so DeKalb is like 40 minutes away from here, something like that. Oh, okay. Different curriculum. Gotcha. Hey, Kitchen, how's the soap thing going? Where is that at right now? Are you, like, picking away at your orders, or, like, how does that work now? Would you say that, overall your money was well spent, Alex, or would you have rather just taken the illustration or the design portion? Or I suppose you had to take both, didn't you? Did you graduate then with a full degree? Because it's really weird. We ended up graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Media Arts and Animation. Which I was always curious why it was a Bachelor of Science. I still don't know why. Whole thing's very confusing. I don't understand colleges to this day, so. Really? So what's a typical day for you like right now with all that to do? Do you have like certain hours set aside where you're packaging or making them, or do you have at least help from people? Like, it has to feel good that you're almost done then, yeah? To pay shipping, right? Did you include it in the actual campaign to pay for shipping? So I made sure Gabe did it this time, because when he had his first Kickstarter, he did not do shipping, and he made like $8,000, but a lot of that had to go to him paying for shipping, where he should have, gotten the people to pay for shipping. We like to joke that before me, he wasn't very smart. But it's just a joke. Outside of school. Yeah, and especially nowadays, which is really funny, because I guess if it was like 10 years ago, it still probably wouldn't have been as smart to do independent art, but now there are so many art classes and courses and everything you can take. Granted, I don't know who's good and who's not at this point, but there are just so many options now. You don't need an art college. Which is funny because Gabe's taking his brother to go see Columbia, which is an art school. Not because Gabe wants him to go. God, no. We've tried to talk him out of going to an arts college, but he still wants to go. So Gabe's just gonna kind of go with him to oversee, I guess. But they're going on Saturday to go see, but I don't know. I think his brother does it more as a hobby. Because he doesn't really have many other interests. So him going to art college is actually kind of his hobby. Which it took me a while to actually wrap my head around that, but I guess I get it, you know. I don't even know, Alex. I don't even think he knows. He's been going to a community college taking the art classes for like the past 2 years. Gabe's brother has some mental development stuff. It's not full blown or anything like that. Like, he still functions well and everything, but it kind of holds him back in a few areas. So we try to figure out what he wants, but a lot of the time he's not even sure. But, you know, he still works his own jobs and things, so he wants to find out more about himself and all that. So it's like, in that case, you have nothing really to do except to support them. You know, and he makes his own money, and what he wants to do with his money is his own business. You know, he can do it however he pleases. And if it makes him happy, who's to say otherwise, you know? Do you think you took at least something useful from art college? Yeah, Serenity, I do. I do. Like, 3ds Max was really important for me to learn. And like I said earlier, if I had to break it down to a percentage, I'd say 25% of what I learned overall at college was good, but the other 75, I don't know. A lot of the 25% I could have just gotten online. Like, there weren't many interactions or assignments or anything that I can think of that were very pertinent to the school itself or the curriculum, where it's like I couldn't get that elsewhere. Basically everything that I got there I could get outside of there. Like, I was hoping for more industry knowledge and all that, but I think what I would have been hoping for wouldn't be something that was given freely by an industry professional. It's almost like you'd have to be their friend to get insider knowledge that I was looking for. So I don't know. I'm glad I learned 3ds Max. I don't care that I learned Maya. That was completely unnecessary. For my first game job out of college, I ended up needing 3ds Max, so I was proud of that. Happy about that. And I still love the program, honestly. And it helped me learn Unity when I eventually had to learn Unity, so that was helpful. That storyboarding class, that was a really good class. I learned a lot consistently from that class. Stuff I still use and quote now. Like the Shot by Shot book. It's called Shot by Shot. It's a blue cover. It's a very good book. Very good, concise information book. God, my design classes were stupid. I hated them. They were dumb. They didn't help me at all. Life drawing, it's a horse apiece. You could get that anywhere, you know. I think if you're a smart artist, you're going to learn to critique yourself fairly and know, you know, well, I was lacking here. I need improvement here. I need to, you know, I'm doing all right here. That kind of thing, you know. Yeah, and the funny thing about his brother, though, Alex, is that he's not looking for a job in art. That's the thing, because we keep asking him, well, what job do you want to do? What do you want to do? And he's like, I'm just doing this kind of as a hobby. He just wants to know more about doing it. And given, I think, he needs structure because he can't kind of think on his own. So having that structure really helps him. But he doesn't actually want a job in the art industry, which I'm a bit thankful for, because I don't think he could make it if it wasn't for two teachers. See, that's good, Sarah. I'm happy for you. I feel like if you do make a connection or two that last, that's worth it. That's good. I'm glad you had that kind of, I guess, networking. But yeah, it's really sad that, you know when you were there, the couple that would just fall away. You knew it. Because they would never, like, once the class was over, it was done for them. You know, but it's like, well, I want to go home and I want to keep doing this because I've been doing this all my life, so I'm not going to stop now. You know, there are people that their parents are like, oh, he likes to draw, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to college. And it's like, oh, you go to college to draw, we'll back you the whole way. It's like, but the parents don't know how much the kid actually needs to do to get somewhere with it. So I kind of feel bad for the people in those situations. It's like, support's good, but if it's used in sort of a naive way, it's not going to help, you know? Like, I'm glad there are parents that are just like cheerleaders, but I feel like a parent should also kind of direct too and help bounce your decisions off of you. Granted, this is just my opinion and what I think parents should do and be, but I feel like they should make sure to question you about what you want to do, to make sure you know, and to teach you how to question yourself for later decisions, so that you have this inner dialogue about the decisions you make. Otherwise, you're just making decisions all the time without even questioning them, you know? Yeah, and Alex, it's his money, you know, and that's what we keep telling him. If you want this, okay, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll find out how much it is and be like, no. Really, Sarah? That's crazy. Actually, if I think about it, no one from my immediate clique that was in college does art at all. They don't. There was like a secondary clique that we kind of merged with once in a while, and there's one guy from that who works at an animation company in Minneapolis. And then one guy from MCAD that we all kind of knew, he ended up going to Disney, and he's a lead animator, and he worked on, what was something recent he worked on? He's worked on Frozen. He worked on Klaus. He was one of the animators for Klaus. So he became someone. But it's like out of 2 schools, I think he was the most successful. 2 whole schools. It's crazy. Yeah, the numbers aren't good, are they? Yeah, Serenity, I could see that, just in the sense that I don't know how your guys' stuff works over there. Like, it's got to be a lot more difficult in Europe. Oh, that's good, Alex. I feel like the design aspect has a lot more level-headed people. Animators tend to be a little bit more eccentric. Like, a lot of the people I went, to school with for animation were a little bit crazy, didn't have very good work ethic. It was like the rock star thing to do. I'm gonna be an animator, I'm gonna work for Blizzard, I'm gonna do, games for Riot, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Klaus is great. He, actually, if you want to look at his Instagram, he works on his own stuff, too, in the meantime. But he has a wonderful style. He's a fantastic guy. I mean, like, if I can at least speak for someone that works at Disney, I know at least he's a really good guy. Because, not everybody you hear about that works for Disney is the best, but he's a great guy. Really sweet dude. No, that's good. Kitchener, are you happy? You seem, like you say your days are full. Are they happy, though? That's good. Yeah, the tail end of a project, right? How good does that feel? Congrats, by the way. Like, you did something really phenomenal. I catch myself sometimes being like, well, what would it be like if I had a ton of followers or a ton of, you know, this, that, or the other thing. Like, a lot of, if I went viral or if I got big, you know, and I dissect that a bit. What would that be like? What would that feel like? What would I be like? And I always come back to the same thing, that I'm fine just where I am. Chancho, come here. Come here. Come here. You don't need to do that. There's no one there. Because if I think about it, it's like, I know me, and I know if I got popular, whatever, if I got to a certain point, I would start being like, the whole, well, what's next? You know, where do you go from here? That whole thing. Do I want to switch over to this other one real quick? I might actually milk this one for a while. This one's pretty nice and calm. But it's like, you gotta kind of, you know, if you ever catch yourself wanting something, it's really good to walk down that road for a little bit and feel it out. And be like, well, is this what you'd want? I mean, it'd be nice to be known and kind of wanted and all that stuff, of course, you know. But at the same time, at what price? You know? Like, one of the things I'm bad at is repetition. I hate repeating myself. So, like, the fact I have to do it on Twitch once in a while, I've gotten a lot better at it, but it's still one of those things like, you know, somebody asks you what you use, or somebody, you know, all these sorts of things, or you have to answer things a million times. They, you know, it wears on you. But it's like, to get that on a giant scale, it would be just ridiculous. But no, I'm really happy where I'm at. But it's just like, the next phase would be wondering, well, how do I stay relevant? You know, if you get to that point, how do I keep this going? And that, I feel like, is worse pressure than wondering if you'll ever get there. You know, how do you stay relevant, reinvent yourself, but still stay true to being an artist and being what you want to be? That seems hard. That seems really difficult. So if I never get there and I'm always just kind of on the cusp or something, I'm cool with that. So I also feel like level-headed people never really make it big. I'm finding that out. I'm finding that out in a large way. People that are down to earth and kind of, you know, they don't really get huge. And once in a while someone will, but, you know, you usually see them, they stick out like a sore thumb, I feel. Or you don't see them, and that's what they want, you know. But there's, you know, a lot of level-headed people just don't know, they don't want to be famous. Uh-oh, what's the issue? Customs? I'm sorry your hands hurt. Maybe you could get some, like, braces or something. You probably already thought of that. I have a problem throwing advice where it's usually not wanted. So I've gotten a lot better at being like, well, actually, not everybody wants advice. Some people just want to vent or something. I think that's part of my only child syndrome. I have the know-it-all thing. I had to get over that. I used to be really bad about it. Chancho, you got the afterbarks? He has this thing where it's like hiccups or something. After he's barked, he keeps having little woof, 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 even if no one's there. I've started calling him the afterbarks. I mean, have you guys ever really thought about it? Like, would you ever really want to be famous in any way? And that's what gets me back to the whole, is it okay being mediocre? And I've read articles about that too, like exploring that idea of just being, just someone. You live, you do your thing, you die, no one remembers you, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be memorable. And that's another hard thing that a lot of people can't come to terms with. It's like, you might just die and no one will remember you in, a year or whatever. But that's what the human condition kind of is, There you go. See, that's super level-headed. I love that. And you've got it right now, right, Serenity? You're pretty stable? Your income, that is? Does that mean you're happy right now? I hope all you guys are happy right now. And if you're not, I hope you change your situation to be happy. If there's one thing I've learned in the past decade, it's to make sure to change your situation if you're not happy. Pay my bills, feed my cat. I like it, Sarah. Well, you would be famous if you got at Lord of the Rings scale, Alex. I mean, you'd be, Peter Jackson level. Which he's, common house name, but not exactly sought out, I feel like the thing about artists is that we never really get, like, rock star famous. Even if we're really famous in the artosphere, that doesn't really breach outside, into regular everyday people. It's really interesting. But for writers, I feel like writers, yeah, they can become rock stars. I mean, like Alex, like you've said in the past, J.K. Rowling, right? Like, everyone knows her. But if you pick an artist that's popular right now, not many people know, I mean, James Jean, maybe. Kim Jung-gi, maybe. I doubt it, though. Like, anybody in your house? Like, it's usually, think of your parents. If you went to your parent and you're like, hey, do you know, J.K. Rowling? They'd probably be like, I know they did something, or maybe they're more savvy and they're like, yeah, they wrote Harry Potter, blah, blah, blah. But if you did it with an artist, not usually, it's really weird. But like, see it and cover my face. Hey, did you know she went to a Walmart though, and she paid off some people's stuff, and she didn't have anything on, and they knew it was her? So you could see her face. If you want to see Sia's face, look up Sia Walmart. Anyway, so don't get caught at a Walmart then, Alex. Oh, you have poor and unstable income right now? Oh, Serenity. Well, I gotta tell you, I usually tell people this, and I mean, you can take it or leave it. It's just, again, it's unsolicited advice. But one of my best jobs I had that I feel like anybody could get, and it was really good, and it was stable, and it was easy, was being a receptionist at a like an old folks home. It was also one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. And then I also got a food service job there too. And I mean, if you're like me and you like elderly, it was a great job. I loved it. I loved waiting, on the old people when I was making, food for them. I also really liked being a receptionist because I was a receptionist probably from age 15 to 21. Big chunk of my life I was a receptionist. And it was at the same place. So a lot of my friends, the old people, would come and go a lot. Like, they'd come and then they'd die and then new ones would come in. So you got pretty used to that. So I had a really nice dose of mortality early on in my life for a good amount of time. And it was a really good job because I was able to draw a lot of the time. So I don't know, if you're looking for an easy job, there's that. Also hotels overnight, that's an easy job. Being a security guard is an easy job. I have a friend that is a security guard at like an art museum. He doesn't do shit. Like, there's a lot of jobs you can get that are easy and like, I don't know, helpful to your art career if you want them to be. I have some more to do on this, but I wonder if I should just flip over to the other one now. Oh man, Gabe's still stuck at $24.50. He's got another $50 before the last stretch goal. How many days left? 7? 7 days left. I think he could do it. Pretty sure. Gotta find a picture of an otter. Otter. I don't like this song anymore. This song has been going on for a while. Tavern music. Okay. Tavern music. Yeah. That's true. Something that surprised me recently is both this commission and the other one I was working on were commissioned by men. And what's weird is once I realized that, I started thinking back to all the other regular commissions I've had, and they are men. Most of my normal commissions are men. Most of my pets in armor, women. Really interesting, I thought. Like, the ones where, you know, I have to put my own spin on things, but people just like my style, men. Very strange. I wouldn't have foreseen that, in complete honesty. I thought it was really interesting though. Like, I'm doing a Kickstarter deck for a guy. He's doing like familiars for D&D. And, I mean, yeah, animals, but, it's a guy. I just think that's so interesting. Oh, look at this little guy. Oh, you cute little otter dude. Oh, they're mainly dark. Okay. But if I'm honest, majority of my demographic is usually women, and usually older women, like grandmas and stuff. Granted, I wonder if I kind of give off the I love grandmas thing, grandmas and grandpas, because of my time at the nursing home, but either way. Oh, that's a funny question, Serenity. When you say how many commissions, do you mean commissions overall? Or do you just mean commissions that aren't Pet and Armor commissions? Oh, the virus, right, Kitchen? Yikes. That isn't your, yeah, that's not your fault. And I'm sure 99% of your backers would understand that, because that is not on you. So, I mean, if you even did an update, you probably did an update that explained that. I can't see someone giving you crap about that. If they do, they're an asshole. Yeah, exercise classes, old people, yeah. Like the regular occupational therapy type where you're picking up things and putting down things. All commissions together. I'm looking at my board. I mean, do you want me to break down that Kickstarter one into illustrations or just count that as one? I have till June for that one, but I mean, if I like round about it, 60? Somewhere in there? Oh, there's like a bunch there too. I don't know. I think safe bet where I could go over and or under pretty close is probably 60. People falling asleep on exercise bikes? Oh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh. Really, Kitchen? Thank you. I'm glad you like watching that. The trick with markers is to get a brush tip and the flick. The flick is the most important thing to learn, because with markers, it's all about where you start and the gradient you make. So the fact I'm flicking this, it's almost treating it like a brush, you know, but knowing where to start, because that's potentially the hardest edge you're gonna have, is important. So you have to know how to shade things really well to be able to accurately color them, you know, effectively with a marker. It's really important. So like on these toes, the fact I know to make a wall there and there and to fan it down and then to go over here and start from over here and go that way. That's gonna give me that shading that I want. And then I can replicate that later when I further render it with like a pencil and all that. So yeah, it's important for markers to know where you're going and how to manage walls. It's very similar to watercolor, in all honesty. Watercolor and markers are very similar because they both deal with working on building layers and how many times you can pass over an area, where you start, where you finish, how heavy to put the pigment. Very similar. Which is funny that I find that both Gabe and I Gabe's better at watercolor and I'm better at markers. But it's because Gabe likes having a lot of colors at his disposal. So watercolors make more sense for him to have, where I have very limited color palettes. And I'm not as crazy about color as he is. So I don't need as many colors as he does. So I can effectively do what I need to with marker. But we both have similar effects. I think that's fun. I'm looking forward to you having some art time too, Kitch. But you should be very proud of what you've accomplished. You've done something that not everybody gets to do. You know? And I'm sure you've realized that, but I think it's important to, you know, give you the props you deserve. I'm gonna add some wood grain to this loot. Also, if anybody saw that loot I posted on my Instagram, it's because I was looking for a loot for some reference, a specific kind. But I found that giant fucking loot. It's huge. It's so big. That's the biggest loot I've ever seen. It's so crazy. I mean, one of the reasons I would never be able to be like a spectrum artist or anything is because of even how I treat this wood. Even that I made it cute and very simple. Like, you can't really be like a high art person if you're doing wood like that, you know? But that's how I like to do wood. So, you know, I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I like simple things, you know? Let's see. Oh God. Alright, now I gotta think about values. Where I'm gonna use them heavier and where I'm gonna use them lighter. I forgot that the Super Bowl is this weekend. But what's funny is the minute I realized it was the Super Bowl this weekend, I was like, oh yeah, Puppy Bowl. And my favorite part of Puppy Bowl is the hamster blimp. They have a ham blimp, and I lose my shit every time they show the ham blimp. I am so happy they have it. Hopefully they didn't get rid of it. I will be so sad if they got rid of the ham blimp. Black and white. Both of them are black and white. On my Instagram story, I said coloring. I should have put rendering. But, yeah. Both of these are black and white. But this one will be color. And I still have to go in with my pastels and smooth over all the really hot white areas with pastels. So, I thought about working on this one during the stream, but I was like, no, the color's going to take too long, and most likely it's not going to look right with the camera. Because color never looks right on the camera. Hello, Shadow Room. Mommy Yoda, please. No. Yeah, kitchen. Yeah. You know me. I'm all into that. Oh man. I wanted to kind of make a like a sequel piece to my mice dancing and have a bird dancing one. And I started a sketch of it on my iPad, but I didn't do much more than that. And I wish I did, because I would, oh man, I would love to finish that and do another one, because I feel like not everybody's into the mouse art, and that's okay. And I like doing other animals, so I'll happily do that. The only thing I don't like about doing the mouse art, or just a lot of the animal art in general, or actually I'll even say being just an artist in general, nowadays, one of the worst things that people say when they come up to your table is, oh man, that reminds me of this. And if you're an original artist like me and you don't have fan art, it kind of cuts. And I know most people don't mean anything bad by it, and they're just finding a way to relate to the art. But man, it's kind of it's a dig. Like, the main reason a lot of people like my owl with the books is because of Harry Potter. And I get it, even though I don't think it's the right kind of owl. I think Harry Potter has the snow owls, the Tytos and stuff. But anyway, you know, or Mouse Guard. Just because I do mice art, they're like, oh, Mouse Guard or Redwall. And it's like, I get, you know, you're trying to have you're connecting it to what you already know. And I get that. But it's like, it's original art, man. You know, and people are like, oh, I bet you like, you know, Redwall. And I'm like, man, I never heard of Redwall until I started going to conventions and people started saying, hey, this reminds me of Redwall. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know. But yeah, it's like, ugh. And I know a couple of my friends, they get irked too, or if it's like, oh man, this reminds me of Akira or something, and you're like, well, how? What? So the best thing you can say, if I have to turn this into kind of a positive thing, you just say thank you if it's ever you and you're irked, because it's gonna happen, whether it's at a con or not. And they are ultimately, I think, most of the time trying to give you a compliment. But yeah, it kind of cuts sometimes. But sometimes it's funny too, because somebody will say, oh, this reminds me of this. And you're like, how? What? How in the world? So that can be kind of entertaining, but... Yeah, Sarah, I bet you felt that recently, haven't you? Oh, or just me dressing up like an elf. I like your Zelda cosplay. And I'm like, just because I'm blonde. Just because I have long ears. Come on, man. But usually, like, depending on the mood I'm in, I'll either say thank you and just let them think that, or I'll say, I'm not Zelda. As they pass. I had one guy on a scooter say that to me when I was at a con on the street. I was walking back to my hotel and he was like, I like your Zelda. I'm like, I'm not Zelda. It's like, what can you do about it? It sucks. It is, oh my God, Serenity, right? And we're always trying to not compare ourselves to others, and then we get compared to others. It's like our whole thing is trying not to compare ourselves, right? But I've realized normal people that aren't artists don't get that. So, they might think they're complimenting you. Okay. All right. And like I said, I'm not trying to complain about it. Like, I feel bad that it's like maybe I'm being a little entitled or something by saying that, but it's like I work hard to be different than what you've seen. And I know there's nothing truly original, but, it just try to catch yourself from doing that. Because usually a lot of the time somebody, that if they're making original art, they probably thought about that for a long time. They're trying to make it stand out. They're trying to put their stuff out there. and trying to be different. And then, along comes somebody who just says, well, this is like this other thing. And it's like, ouch, dude. It's like, I knew that, but you didn't have to, And it sucks. It's hard because you can't avoid it. There's absolutely no way to avoid it unless that 1% gets so popular, so big that their design does become something. And it's like, then that's the new thing people compare it to. But that is so rare. So absolutely rare. I don't even know where the art industry is going to be in a couple years. With how fan art is and where, people are with their own personal work and how big the divide is in the art realm. There's a huge divide where it's like there is this just little elite group of, revered artists, and then everybody kind of falls outside of that. It's really interesting. I have no idea where it's going to be. Exactly, Serenity. That's how it feels. Yeah, a lot of the time. Oh, really? Do you actually share similarities with them, Sarah? Or is it like left field and you're just like, all right, yeah, all right. So a lot of the time when I'm kind of pausing between values, I know it might be for a while that I'm pausing, but I'm thinking about what values are going to go next to each other and, trying to make it so they're not too close together in value. Because that's important. You don't want things to be too close to each other, especially when you're doing grayscale. You gotta be a little bit more tactful about that, or at least if you put down two that are next to each other, kind of closely, that you know later you're gonna separate them either by lightening an area or something else. Because if I do it, I'm probably gonna put white between them so that they separate. But yeah, otherwise you gotta kind of know. Like here, I'm gonna probably make the tops of these boots actually more white. So I'm just gonna shade them a little bit with the color that this was. But they will be lighter than that. Stuff like that. And also my problem with the comparison thing might also be rooted in my only child syndrome. I know that rears its head in a lot of ugly ways with me. So, it might just be that. It might just be me. I don't know. Maybe not everybody feels that way. I know Serenity and I kind of share that. Because we're only kids. So I know she kind of feels the same, but yeah, it's some of the things I spout might just be me. And I'm working on it. I know some of the things I have a problem with, not everybody does. Yeah, I feel you. One of my worst traits is I get really hung up on credit. I give credit wherever I can, right? And I think it's important to do that if you remember that someone told you something, or even if you don't, you should make an effort to remember certain things you learned from certain people, so you can properly credit them at the time. So I credit everybody I can, right? But I know people who have given me no credit and they have a huge platform, and I get really mad about that because it's like, I know you remember that I helped you with this, or I told you this, or I taught you this. And it's like, when you have a higher platform, you should be paying it back to people that have helped you get there. But a lot of the people I know with higher platforms end up using the platform to claw at the ladder above them, ladder climbers. So they don't really pay attention to who's gotten them there, and they just keep climbing. I think it's important to pay homage and credit to the people that got you there, So that's been my thing forever, though. Like, even since I was a kid, I'm like, who gave you that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, did you tell everybody that they gave it to you? Well, no. Why not? And some people will be like, well, why do they need to know? It's not about necessarily needing to know. It's almost the act of, it's a respectful act, I feel like. No matter how big you are, I feel like it's a humble thing and a due respect thing to tell people, well, hey, credit is due here, that sort of thing. Oh, I see, Sarah. Well, I'm glad there have at least been 2 that have been, compliments. When I get a Brian Froud one, that feels good. That feels really good. Like on Grigor, when people give me props on Grigor, oh, this looks like Brian Froud. It reminds me of Dark Crystal. I'm like, cool, all right. That's because he is like one of my, if I had to say people who have inspired me to be where I am now, it's Brian Froud, Don Bluth, and Beatrix Potter. Those 3. But I wouldn't consider them my heroes. I just know that I've looked at their stuff over time a lot and like growing up, and I know it's probably imprinted. I don't purposefully try to take things from other artists. If it happens, it's very natural, I feel like. So there's that. But hey Tad, how was your break? You are, Alex. Oh, I'm excited to see that. I feel like the kind of fantasy elements people add to their stuff are extremely telling of who they are. Like for me, one of my staples is usually tassels. I love adding tassels to things. I'm a tassel guy. I feel like tassels and bells. Oh, I love bells. Bells. But yeah, like certain things certain people add. And there are things people will repeatedly add to their stuff. I think that's really interesting just to see what they do add. Right, Kitchen? Right? And what's even worse is like, I can't even go to them and be like, hey, do you want to give me more credit for this? Because then it looks like an asshole thing, and I don't want to be an asshole. I just want them to be better people, Like, is it too much to ask that you would, want to credit me? Like, I thought we were friends, and it's like... And then a lot of people claim to just be an airhead. It's like, dude, no. You're smart enough to be where you are. You are not that stupid. So, it's little things like that, and yeah, I'll admit I get really petty about certain things. But I mean, everybody gets petty about something, right? But for me, that's one of my little buttons. My ugly, ugly buttons. It's credit. No, it drives me nuts. But I mean, I guess that's one of those things, though. It's really, somebody shows their true colors when they get bigger, right? And if they were ever really your friend. That sort of thing. Which is kind of a bummer. I guess it's stupid, too, to discuss things like that with somebody who teaches people. Because then, of course, you're basically asking for them to steal things from you. Alright. I'm gonna just probably do the otter, and then I'll probably go. Because I don't want to have Gabe babysitting all night. But we'll see, maybe. As long as he doesn't come out, I guess he doesn't want me to stop. I don't know. I like this tavern song and ambience because it sounds like we're in a medieval coffee shop. That's how I feel about it. Except instead of coffee, I guess it's beer and mead. Tad, I'm curious. Do you have things that you always add, like, that you like to include on your character designs that are very you? I bet you do. Hi, Daniel. How you been? How you doing, man? Long time no see. You still going to AwesomeCon? Oh yeah. See? I think that's so cool. What kind of stuff do you add? If you want to say, you don't have to say. But if there are things that you normally put in that you want to say, I'd be really curious. Actually, I wonder if I should guess them. Oh. See? I could understand that. I got a big nose too. I love on your little drawing you do of yourself that you do have a big nose. I love that. I think that's so fun. If you could grow a beard, how long would you grow it, and would you do anything with it? If you could. I did see this video though recently of this guy who had a beard down to, like, you know, his belly button, and he was able to, like, tuck it up into a normal looking beard. It was really cool. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that, but there's a little pocket behind, like, the chin that he just took it. He twisted it up, like, just twisted it like this, and then he like took his fingers. Here, I'll actually recreate it. And he basically just, like, rolled it up. And I guess it's probably better for a beard than regular hair, because if you did that to regular hair, it would be really messed up. But it got so small, and he just took it and he put it into a little pocket behind his normal beard. And it was really, I don't know, I had never seen anyone do that. I had never even thought that a guy would want to. But I guess for, like, formal events and stuff, having a beard down to your belly button's not, I don't know, not looked at great. Oh, yeah, Daniel, I feel you on that. Like, we're in Illinois now, and even Illinois to AwesomeCon would just be, I don't know. I didn't make enough there to go back either, so I was like, it's not worth it. I don't think it's either, Serenity. I honestly think it just comes with drawing over time. Like, you get to a point where you've drawn hopefully a bunch of different things where you start, it's part of your style. And I like to describe style as the things you choose to include and omit, whether that be, like, line widths, like how you use those, or, you know, when you're drawing anatomy, do you like to include a belly button? Maybe you don't. I don't like to do noses on my chibis, you know, stuff like that. That's going to help define your style, you know, just by saying, yeah, I like doing these things. No, I don't like doing these things. And I think that's also indicative of a kind of a confident artist too, that over time you're like, I don't want to draw that anymore. I've drawn everything, so then I get to choose what I want to keep drawing and what I don't. And that's why it's important, as, you know, you start being an artist, that you draw a lot of things, draw a lot of different things, vehicles, buildings, anatomy, animals, creatures, ships, you know, all that kind of stuff, like planets, Maybe you really like drawing planets and you've never drawn a planet, but you wouldn't know until you draw a planet. So it's important starting off that you try all these different things and then figure out what you like and then continue on your journey with those things. It's like you empty out a backpack and you're like, all right, I've got all this stuff. What do I actually need? I need that. I need this. I need this. And then that becomes your tool set, you know? So I wouldn't feel bad about not having anything yet. You just need to draw more things. And, you know, eventually you'll just be like, I don't want to draw that. I do want to draw this. Like, your stuff has a rockabilly flair. So rockabilly has, like, certain elements to it, you know? So I feel like you do kind of have that. You don't want a massive beard. You don't want to braid it or put any cool beard beads in. Mad out of context. Yeah, ElfQuest. Yeah. Hey, ElfQuest is really well known among older folks. It was kind of their first foray into, like, fantasy comics, because there weren't a whole lot, apparently. So, yeah, ElfQuest is huge. So, I could see that as a compliment if you want to, because that is kind of, you know, like, big news sort of thing. It's not like it's niche that somebody's like, oh, hey, it reminds me of this, you know, whatever. But I could see where they'd think that, but I think it's just because you have a long-eared character. It's like me and the Zelda thing. I get Zelda all the time. I'm like, nope. For 1 second, could you maybe think that there might be another blonde, long-eared elf out there? Like, if anything, if I was a Zelda, I think I'd be Twilight Princess Zelda, just because she has this hair color. All the other ones, she's got, like, blonde hair. Anyway. Yeah, those are nuts. I don't even know how they do that, Tad. Like, what are they even using? And how long does that take? Those are crazy. Crazy. Nutty beards. Actually, maybe it's good we're taking a while and Gabe can actually play a game for a bit. He's usually too career oriented and he wants to work all the time, so maybe the fact we're taking longer to stream is a good thing, so then he gets to relax. But speaking of Gabe, I'm gonna plug this one more time because we're close to the final stretch goal. Gabe's Kickstarter. Blah blah blah. Gabe gets game time. Ooh, alliteration. Right to my core. Yeah, and you know, I am used to it now, the comparison stuff, because like every con, oh man, I wish I could keep a camera going at my booth so badly, because in the morning I would be like, okay, here's what's going to happen today. Somebody's going to say, at least 2 or 3 people are going to say it reminds them of Redwall, right? Which is weird because I always think people are going to say Beatrix Potter, but no one does. Like, anytime somebody's agreed with me on Beatrix Potter, it's because I've been like, or you know, Beatrix Potter, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, Peter Rabbit, and they're like, yes, and I'm like, but I don't know, Redwall, and then there's at least a Secret of Nim or 2, but usually they say the Rats of Nim, which means they read the book, and I think they want me to know that, and that's why they say Rats of Nim and not Secret of Nim. Anyway, but yeah, I can usually call out how many of those I'm gonna get at a con. It's really weird. I should make a bingo sheet. We used to do that for a lot of us, but the weird thing is, since we all have different demographics and things, it's kind of hard. But yeah, somebody will always put a bag on a table. Never put your stuff on somebody's artist table. You can put it in front of it, but never on their art, especially beverages. And there's always somebody, and this one's the weirdest one, I've got to say. Someone will come up, stand in the middle of your table, usually put their arms on their waist, kind of look over your table for a good 5 to 10 seconds, right? They're looking at everything, they're like, And they usually do a What's all this about? Just a generic question. What's all this then? And then I get so, that one always catches me off guard, no matter how many times I've heard it. They're like, what's all this? And I have to like, my mind reverts because I'm used to people putting in a quarter in a certain area, like, oh, what kind of prints do you have? How much are your prints? Or what about your books? But when it's the overall thing and I don't go into automaton mode, I have to be like, well, this is my art. I'm the artist. These are prints, these are books, these are pens, and I have to kind of break it down on a general scale, which, like I said, it totally trips me up every time because I'm so used to going directly to being specific. So it's just really funny. And then one time I got a person asking me, so is this a game? And I was like, because it wasn't generic. It was specific across the football field. So I had to like grab them, pull them back, and throw them into generic, So I had to be like, no, it's not a game. This is just my art. I'm the artist. And I was starting to think, now, why would they think that? And luckily, it's not enough people to make me worry that I'm projecting something that, maybe looks like a game. Maybe I'm a booth babe that's like trying to sell a game. I don't know. But if I got that more often, I'd be worried. But it was just like one time. I was like, no. And I had to explain it. It was weird. Right, Sarah? You know what that's like. It's like, what do I do? And oh man, I've gotten some rude people too. Super, super rude. Really weird. Oh yeah, did you draw these? Well, that one's understandable since now I know half of my friends who are bigger artists, they have proxies that go to different conventions. So they are asking, are you the artist? In case they buy something and want like a signature. That I understand now. In the beginning I was like, well, yeah, but now it's like, oh, okay. And especially because I'm wearing a costume, I might not look like the artist, and that's fair. But yeah, I think a lot of the time they think you might be a proxy. So that one's a little bit more innocent, I feel. A family vacation, that's cute. Really, Kitchen? Oh, thank you. I'm glad it's unique. I mean, I hope so, because I haven't read it. And so a lot of people are like, oh, you should read Redwall. You'll probably like it. And I'm sitting here like, nah, I don't really want to, because then I'd start maybe like subconsciously including things. And I like to think of them on my own. I like thinking of my own ideas more than anything. Like, so much. The only time I'll really take into account other ideas, like, from people is if I'm, like, short on time and if I, like, respect them, then I'll do it. But, oh, man. Did you make all this? That one, yeah. That one is interesting. Though now that Gabe and I have, like, a couple things at our table that we're selling for each other now, I do take that question more seriously, just because I'm like, okay, well, I did everything here except that, and that. Those are my, my boyfriend's work, my partner's work, and I usually like to say partner because it's a lot more professional sounding. And he blah blah blah. You can find him here. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, like someone you work at a store when you're clearly working wearing a name tag with store logo. Most of the time, yeah. But like, I know Tim, my friend Tim, Pui, even Key sometimes, Pete Moorbacher, like they all have proxies that will go to conventions when they can't, or maybe the proxy is closer to the convention that they want to go to, so they'll just send them. It's a little shady in the con sphere because some cons don't actually allow you to do that. They expect the actual artist to be there. So it can be a little bit dicey depending on the con you're going to. Same with overseas conventions. You got to be really careful with that. Because if they think that you're actually selling stuff and you don't have like a work visa, you could get in trouble. You playing a game? Are you having fun?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to stop?
I think so, whenever.
Are you gonna work on stuff tonight?
Oh yeah, I was half working on, I was farming.
Farming?
Not farming, but like video game farming.
Grinding.
No, farming.
Farming. Like literally farming?
No, like blacksmithing, I guess.
Oh, just crafting.
Huh?
Like crafting over and over so
Yeah.
you get stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's still grinding. You're still getting experience.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess they have to eat soon, don't they? Otters have a very specific color set. Do you have like a device where something's talking on it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was going crazy. It's okay.
Just chopping wood.
Did you get up to 25 yet?
No.
No. You still got 7 days. Well, 6 days, I suppose.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, I mean, even if I did have the camera up closer, I don't know how much more different it'd be. Okay, you guys, I'm probably gonna duck out. I've been streaming for around 3 hours. I'll probably send you guys on a raid over to Zambies. I think she's still streaming. I'll go look, but does anybody have anything they want to talk about real quick? I never like to just duck out. I want to make sure before I do. Go see if she's streaming. I don't know her crazy well, but she seems nice. Yeah, Kitchen, I miss you. I really hope you're not overworking yourself. I know you've got a lot to do, but you know, you seem to be very smart about your workload and all that, so. Hey, you're welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming. I'm still wondering if I want to do Saturdays. If I have something to stream tomorrow, maybe I'll try. But, let's see.
I'm working on it, honey.
Oh. Sammy's not streaming anymore? Hold on. Still looking. Tad, are you gonna stream? I might be on tomorrow. I don't know. It depends on if I can figure out something to stream. If I get the pencils done on one of the pet armors I gotta do, then yeah, maybe. I might try to just switch to next Saturday instead of next Friday just to see how it is. I don't know. I guess it's kind of nice not having like a crazy following, so I can kind of do those sorts of things. Oh, well, Zambies is on. Let's raid Zambies. She's nice. She's doing something with gloves. So, let us raid. Okay, so once I raid, if you're not familiar with raiding, it basically pushes all my watchers into another channel. So once that starts happening, I won't be able to contact you guys anymore. So it's like I quit the stream, but it's like I take you over there. It's a nice way for people to get more visibility from their friends and everything. So I might switch then to being next Saturday, just to see. But follow my Instagram to see what I actually end up doing. Who knows? And very slim chance, but possible, that I stream tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. So either way, I'm going to start the raid. And I'll see you guys later. And I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks for joining with me, alright? So, here we go. Gonna raid Zambi. Have fun. Give her a chance. Look at what she's doing. Tell her hi from me. That sort of thing. See ya. Bye-bye, y'all.